Hi everyone, good evening. It's evening here when I do this. So today it's the 29th. It's late in the evening on the 29th of March, and this is my video for my April TBR. So welcome to my channel. I am a Caspian and I read a lot of books, and for this video I will not have all the books with me, and nor will I have like a picture of them, because mainly because I don't have them physically with me, all of the books. I have some but not all, because I am waiting for them to get to me at the library, so they're on a reserve and they're all pending. Like, the ones I don't have with me are all pending which means they are in transit between another library where it was turned in and then my library where I'm gonna pull it out, so, or check it out. But I have some of them with me, and let's just dig into the books, shall we? So I'm gonna start with the ones that I'm currently reading that I won't be finishing in March. I put them on my April TBR. One of them is from my March TBR and going into April, because I started it yesterday. So I'm kind of slowing down in my reading right now. I'm kind of in my healing journey after my surgery. I have become very restless and kind of bored, and I don't really have the patience to read that much, not as much as I did maybe last week. So I'm going on more walks, and I'm not an audiobook kind of person yet, or so I have kind of slowed down in my reading. So I have come to the conclusion that I won't be finishing this book that I'm going to talk about now in March, that I had previously thought that I would. Not hoped, but thought. And the first book is it's the Swedish translation of The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner, and the Swedish name of title is Giftmakerskan, which means poison maker. Which is so, I think, so spot on for what it's supposed to be about. So I haven't read that much yet, as you can see. I've just barely scraped the surface of it. But this is following dual timelines, and it's one timeline from the 1790s. So 1790 something. We follow Nella, that is running this lost apothecary, but it's not lost back then. But we follow her running this apothecary, and she has taken over the apothecary when her mother passed away. And her mother used to help women, so it was an apothecary only for women and women's ailments of many sorts. And then Nella took over, and she has been focusing on helping mainly women getting rid of their spouses. So that's what the blurb says, and that's also what I found out just in the first chapter. So in the other timeline it's present day, and it's we follow Caroline, and she has recently, it's unclear if she has broken up with, or if they're taking a break, her and her husband, and she has come to London. So in the 1790s it's set in London, and in present day Caroline lives in America, but she has gone to London for she's taking the trip that they would have taken for their anniversary, like their wedding anniversary, but she's taking it alone to figure things out. And she's doing a lot of, she has this itinerary of things she's gonna do when she's there, both things that they were gonna do together, and then things that she wanna do on her own. And I haven't gotten that far into the story yet. But according to the back of the book, she's gonna stumble upon this old story about this poison maker and the lost apothecary. So we'll see where that heads. Yeah. So this one I am currently reading and is going. And then I have a library book that I've started because I just really felt like starting with this one. I wasn't gonna until like the 1st of April. I was gonna actually read this first and then start this. But since this is kinda right now, I picked up this one because I was just so drawn to it. And this is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. Becky Chambers. And this is sci-fi. It's supposed to be a cozy sci-fi. And I'm just gonna read it back. When Rosemary Harper joins the crew of the Wayfearer, she isn't expecting much. The Wayfearer, a patched-up ship that's seen better days, offers her everything she could possibly want. A small, quiet spot to call home for a while, adventures in far-off corners of the galaxy, and distance from her troubled past. The crew is a mishmash of species and personalities, from Syzyx, the friendly reptilian pilot, to Kizzy and Jenks, the constantly sparring engineers to keep the ship running. Life on board is chaotic, but more or less peaceful, exactly what Rosemary wants. And then there's some other information. So I have heard so many wonderful things about this one, and this is a series, the Wayfearer series, I think it's called. So I'm really, I haven't read much. I have only read like 10 or 11 pages or something, or 15. But I'm starting to get into it, and even this early on in the book, I can sense that it's gonna be like a cozy vibe. So far it reminds me a little bit about the floating hotel that I read last year, and I really loved that one. So I think if I end up enjoying this, I think I have found out that so maybe cozy sci-fi is my cup of tea, you know. But we'll see. I'm really enjoying it so far, and I hope I will continue to enjoy it, so I can read the rest of them and have a wonderful spring. So the next one I'm going to talk about is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. I'm finally getting around to this one. I've had it on my WTR want to read list for a while, and I just thought, what the heck, and I put myself on the waiting list, and boom, it's mine to read for a month. And I was like, whoa, that was fast. So I had to go get it. So it says here, the case is closed. 5 years ago, schoolgirl Andy Bell was murdered by Sal Singh. The police know he did it. Everyone in town knows he did it. But having grown up in the same small town that was consumed by the murder, Pippa Fitzamobi isn't so sure. When she chooses the case as the topic for her final year project, she starts to uncover secrets that someone in town desperately wants to stay hidden. And if the real killer is still out there, how far will they go to keep Pip from the truth? So, I've heard many wonderful things about Holly Jackson, and I don't know if I have read her before because I can't remember who the author was. I read like a mystery thriller last year, but I don't think it's the same author, so I'm not gonna say anything, but I might have read this author before. So I've heard many good things about this, so I'm looking forward to sinking my teeth in this one, and hopefully it's as good as people. The next one I'm gonna talk about is Divine Rivals. And if you remember, a few months back I talked about reading Ruthless Vows, and I didn't because I picked it up at the library, and then when I was home and when I opened up to read it, I found out that was the second book in the duology, and I was like, oh no. So I returned that one, and now this has come home to me. This is mine now for a month. So Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I'm also looking forward to this one. I have heard that this is the better one in the duology. A lot of people think this is the best one, and then Ruthless Vows. I can't. Yeah, it's a slight less good or whatever. So we'll see. I think the story is on the inside. Yes, it is. So it says, when two young rival journalists find love through a magical connection, they must face the depths of hell. In a war between gods, to seal their fate forever. I think I had just read the Sunbury Trials when I came upon this one on BookTube, and I was like, oh, war between gods. Yeah, because I had that was kind of there was a lot of gods and semi-gods in the Sunbury Trials, and I just felt like, oh yeah, I want to read more with gods. You know, I kind of like that trope. So we'll see. I'm not going to talk too much about it, I think, because I have found out that for myself, I don't want too much information. So usually what a lot of booktubers say on their channels when they talk about it, they talk about books in general. That's kind of what I need to know. I don't need to know any more than that. So I'm looking forward to this one. And the next book the next book on my list was this one. I've talked about this one. So the next one is The Perfect Marriage by Jeneva Rose. And The Perfect Marriage is a book that it's a mystery thriller, suspense crime novel, and it's a book that one of the many book clubs that I have joined on Fable is reading this for April, I think. So hopefully it will come to me soon, but it's pending. So who knows? There was one book that was pending for like 2 months before I got it, so who knows? I don't know what happened to that one. So it says, so it's The Perfect Marriage by Jeneva Rose, not Ross, Rose, the first book in the Perfect series. And it says, would you defend your husband if he was accused of killing his mistress? Sarah Morgan is a successful and powerful defense attorney in Washington, D.C. At 33 years old, she is a named partner at her firm, and life is going exactly how she planned. The same cannot be said for her husband, Adam. He's a struggling writer who has had little success in his career. He begins to tire of this, and Sarah's relationship of his... Oh my god. I'm getting tired. My eyes are getting tired. As she's constantly working. Out in the secluded woods at Adam and Sarah's second home, Adam engages in a passionate affair with Kelly Summers. Then one morning everything changes. Adam is arrested for Kelly's murder. She has been found stabbed to death in Adam's and Sarah's second home. Sarah soon finds herself playing the defender for her own husband, a man accused of murdering his mistress. But is he guilty or is he innocent? Who knows? So the only thing I knew of this when I wanted to read it, like when I put myself on the waiting list for it, the genre, and that a lot of people wanted to read it. The next one is The Naturals, the library. I found this one on the shelf as well. So I have 2 Jennifer Lynn Barnes books to read in April. So this is a new series for me. So I read the Inheritance Games, the 3 first books in that one. And this is supposed to be the 4th, but also kind of a standalone. And then there's a 5th, kind of a standalone, I don't know. So this is The Naturals, the first book. I think the series is called The Naturals as well. Cold cases are about to get hot. Cassie is a natural at reading people, piecing together the tiniest details. She can tell you who you are and what you want, but it's not a skill that she's ever taken seriously until the FBI come knocking. They've begun a classified program that uses exceptional teenagers to crack infamous cold cases, and they need Cassie. What Cassie doesn't realize is that there's more at risk than a few unsolved murders, especially when she's sent to live with a group of teens whose gifts are as unusual as her own. Soon it becomes clear that no one in the Naturals program is what they seem, and when a new killer strikes, danger looms close. Caught in a lethal game of cat and mouse with a killer, the naturals are going to have to use all of their gifts to survive. This sounds so familiar. Is this like a Netflix series, or is there a Netflix series that is reminiscent of this? Anyway, this is YA. Maybe I will get to this one before this one, just to kinda, you know, ease myself back into YA. Because I think this is YA as well. So this is The Brothers Hawthorne. It says there is nothing more Hawthorne than winning. True. If you read the Inheritance games, you know what I mean. And then it's on the inside because it's a hardback. A family secret. Grayson Hawthorne was raised as heir apparent to his billionaire's grandfather, taught from the cradle to put family first. Let's see. So when Grayson's half-sisters find themselves in trouble, he's determined to take care of the problem. Efficiently, effectively, mercilessly. Mercilessly, that's a hard word. And without getting emotionally involved. I'm not gonna say too much about it, because I don't know if it spoils the books before this one. It's supposed to be, maybe not a standalone, but apart from those, so hopefully not. But I'm not going to talk too much about it. But because it says an Inheritance Games novel. So, and on a lot of pages it says it's the 4th in the series. So let's keep it on this level. Yeah, and this is YA. This is what is called in Swedish, ung. Which is short for ungdom. So I'm going to read that one. The next one on my little list here is the second book in the Extraordinary Adventures of the Athena Club. So it's the second book in that series by Theodora Goss, not Goose. European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman. So, and in the first book, The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter, I read that one last year. So in The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter, a lot of famous literature characters' daughters are coming together. So like the daughter of Mr. Jekyll, the daughters of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, the daughter of Frankenstein, and so forth. So. And this is the second book in that series. So in the first book, they all meet and come together, all of these daughters. There's like 6 of them or something. And then this is the second book, and I don't really know. Let's see if I can read a little bit about it without spoiling it. Yeah, I think so. In the sequel to the critically acclaimed The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter, Mary Jekyll and the rest of the daughters of literature's mad scientists, there we go, embark on a madcap adventure across Europe to rescue another monstrous girl and stop the alchemical society's nefarious plans once and for all. That was kind of soft. It doesn't spoil the first book, because the first book is simply them coming together. Like they call themselves the Athena Club. So I think you can still, with knowing what the second book is about, you can still enjoy the first one really well. So, yeah. Okay, so the next book is Caraval by Stephanie Garber. If you remember my last TBR video, I had Once Upon a Broken Heart on my TBR for March. When I was gonna pick it up, just before I was gonna pick it up, I watched a YouTuber say, I don't know how true this is, but I kind of looked it up a little bit and I found it to be somewhat true, that it's better if you read the Caraval series before you read Once Upon a Broken Heart. And so I was sitting there with the book and I was like, well, I own this one, so I can put it aside and see if I can get Caraval home. So it's pending. It's pending at the library, and I'm looking forward to. I have no idea what it's about. I know what Once Upon a Broken Heart is about, but I don't know what Caraval is about. So it says, a legendary competition, a mesmerizing romance, an unbreakable bond between two sisters. Scarlet Dragna? Names in books, people. Scarlet Dragna has never left the tiny island where she and her sister Tella live with their powerful and cruel father. Now Scarlet's father has arranged a marriage for her, and Scarlet thinks her dreams of seeing Caraval, the faraway once-a-year performance where the audience participates in the show, are over. But this year, Scarlet's long-dreamt-of invitation finally arrives. With the help of a mysterious sailor, Tella whisks Scarlet away to the show. Only as soon as they arrive, Tella is kidnapped by Caraval's mastermind organizer, Legend. Oh, it's his name, okay. Or their name. It turns out that this season's Caraval revolves around Tella, and whoever finds her first is the winner. Okay, and it has an average rating of 3.97, so should be good, hopefully. I don't know how often I really agree with Goodreads average ratings, but hey, yeah, we'll see. Okay, so that's that book. Well, that sounds okay. Caraval. The only thing I can think about when I hear Caraval, and it might not be at all the same, but I love Narnia. What is the castle in Narnia where Lucy, Edmund, Peter, and Susan are kings and queens? Isn't that Caraval? Please put in the comments if you know the name of that, because I just can't think of it right now. Am I correct or not? I don't know. But this is Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries, the first book in the Emily Wilde series, by Heather Fawcett. And it says, a curmudgeonly professor, that's a weird word. A curmudgeonly professor journeys to a small town in the north to study fairy folklore and discovers dark fae magic, friendship, and love in the start of a heartwarming and enchanting new fantasy series. Cambridge professor Emily Wilde is good at many things. She is the foremost expert on the study of fairies. She is a genius scholar and a meticulous researcher who is writing the world's first encyclopedia of fairy lore. But Emily Wilde is not good at people. She could never make small talk at a party or even get invited to one, and she prefers the company of her books, her dog, and the fair folk. Okay, so I've heard many good things about this. I'm gonna read it because I've been looking forward to reading it, mainly because I really love the cover. That's such a bad reason to read a book, isn't it? But I really enjoy the cover. The cover on Goodreads is not the beautiful cover. The cover on at my library is the white one. The white one with all of like the mushrooms and flowers and that sort of thing. And this one is black. So I don't enjoy this cover. But it's a cover read, and then I've heard many good things about it, and I'm like, oh, I want to read this. So I'm hopeful, but I'm also aware that because of the trope of this girl that can't do small talk and aren't good with people, because I'm kind of bored with that trope for the time being. I'm aware of that. Okay, so I'm aware of that fact, and that might. I think I'm gonna have to give it I'm gonna have to. think about it. That's what I want to say. Because if I don't, I'm not gonna read it in April if I don't feel excited for it, because I've been so excited for it for like 2 months, and I want to be excited about it when I read it. And if I can't be excited about it when I have it in my hands, I'm gonna wait. So I can't say for sure I'm gonna get to this one, even though it's a library book, and I usually read all of the library books because I don't want to put myself on the waiting list again and again and again and again. I did that with the Naturals. This is the 3rd time I have it in my hands, I think. So, we'll see. We'll see if I read Emily Wilde. I have been looking forward to it so much, and there's just some tropes that I'm so sick of right now. I need a break. So, the last book I'm going to talk about is Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, that's what you say, I have heard in English. And this is a book that I was supposed to read in January for the Middle-earth read-along. Which is also a book club on Fable. However, I started reading it, read like 50 pages, and I just couldn't. I was so I did a soft DNF at that time, and now I'm kinda looking forward to it again. I'm looking forward to trying it again. I've talked to my dad about it, and it's one of his favorite, like, all of those books. Hobbit and the Fellowship of the Ring trilogy, they are like his favorite books. And I also watched the read-along video because I've watched the movie, so I know the story, so it's not gonna spoil much. So I watched the read-along talk about it, and it made me kind of excited to try it again. And now it's been a while, and I'm feeling like I can get into maybe trying it again, but I'm gonna read it slow. I'm gonna read it chapter by chapter and really give myself time, I think, if I'm not getting into it. Because I didn't really get into it last time, because I didn't like his writing style, and I feel like that's a very unpopular opinion, to not like the writing style of Tolkien. But so I'm gonna give it a try. So to recap, on my April TBR I have The Lost Apothecary, The Lost Apothecary, The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Divine Rivals, The Perfect Marriage, The Naturals, European Travel for the Monstrous Gentlewoman. That's the long title. Caraval, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Faeries, and The Hobbit. So 10 books. And I own one of them, and the one is a loan from my dad, The Hobbit, and then there are 3 books that I have at home from the library, and then 5 books that I'm waiting for. One of them is available, 4 of them are in transit. So I'm planning on doing my best with this. As I said, I might not get to Emily Wilde, but the other ones I'm looking forward to reading of the library books. But I also have some books left from my March TBR. 3 books. 4, no more. Okay, I have some books left from the March TBR. Yeah, because I read 6 of the 12. And then this is one. And I have 5 books left from the March TBR that I own. Books that I own that I can get to if I want to, mix it up a bit. So yeah, that's what we have for April. I will update you on that. Per usual, I will do reading updates like once a week or sometimes twice a week if I read fast. And then I'm gonna do a wrap up at the beginning of May for April. And the next video you will probably see on my channel is my wrap up for March. I'm gonna do that at the beginning of April. So I have been talking for way too long just because I'm tired. I don't think I'm gonna do videos when I'm tired again. So hopefully you won't have to endure a long video like this again so soon. So yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. Happy reading, everyone, and I will see you in my next video. Xingling!